So what can you do about it? What mitigating options have you got? Well, for starters, we could all of us check customers' credit more diligently. I would say in the majority of cases where I talk to businesses, they do credit checks. They do their homework. Is this the customer we want to do business with? And they go, yes, it is. And that is the only time they ever check their credit. And some of them have been dealing with these customers for 15 or 20 years. And the only time they check their credit worthiness is the day they took them on. There's no need for that these days because you can get relatively cheap, real-time alert generating credit systems. We have it in our business. If any of our clients' credit rating changes, we get an alert. Now, we're not doing it from a personal risk management protection because actually we're pretty close to people's finances to know who's doing well and who's doing badly. And actually our opportunity is to step closer to people who are struggling. We do it because our clients need to know that when their credit rating has just been slashed, that is going to bite with their suppliers and with other people they do business with. So we should all be checking credit more diligently and applying those credit limits. We've got to get tougher at chasing debts. Again, when you don't need the money, if you've got money in the bank, chasing debts is a painful process no one likes to do. We only really get tough at it when we've got an overdraft and it's our money in their account we're trying to get. But actually, we need to be more diligent. You may not like the word aggressively, but more systematic, more on the ball, chasing those debts and being tough on delinquent payers. In your case, down tools. If they're not paying the bills, guys off site. You need to be looking at that because the worst thing about a bad debt is it's always 4 months worse than if you looked at this issue when you should have done and challenged that situation. Does that make sense? Price jobs with a contingency or with options for material costs, that is a real challenge in your industry. Everybody wants the cheapest price and you are not in control of the costs until the job's done in most cases. So if you can price it with a contingency, then you should be. If not, you've got to pass on some of that risk to the customers. Either put price limits in there, so this is the price of the job, assuming materials stay within this range. If they go above that, we'll have to renegotiate, but you can't afford to take 100% of material cost uplift on your shoulders. We talked about locking up cash in assets. Even if you have the spare cash, you should always buy buildings over 15 or 20 years, plant and equipment over 5 or 10 years, IT over 3 years. Even if there's an interest cost to that, having your spare cash spare for a rainy day is going to be critical in the next few years. And I've got lots of clients who've got huge amounts of equity tied up in buildings and equipment because they use surplus cash to buy stuff they could have financed, and that money's now sunk in those pieces of kit. Much harder to refinance than it would have been to buy them that way. So be careful to keep your cash liquid. Manage your credit rating. There's a huge impact. I don't know if many of you know, but if you bounce a payment, the impact on your credit history is enormous and for a long time to come. So you need to be really crucial to make sure that you don't accidentally let stuff bounce. Now, if you can't afford to make the payment, they are going to bounce. But I've seen lots of situations where something's happened by accident. It was a bit slow to transfer money to the right account, and that black mark is on your banking credit history for a long time. And even if your bank manager wants to be supportive and helpful, he probably can't be. You've got to communicate with your suppliers or everyone you buy stuff from, and you've got to do exactly what you say you're going to do. So if you say, I will pay on 45 days, pay on 45 days. We've all come across these people who they say, oh yeah, I'll pay you at the end of the month, or I'll pay you on 60 days. And you look them in the eye and you go, I know you're lying as you're saying it to me. You don't even believe you're going to pay that. You're saying it, but you know that's not going to happen. If you want to maintain links with suppliers, by all means have the conversation about, I want extended credit, I want 60-day terms or 90-day terms, but whatever you agree, you must do what you say you were going to do, and then you'll maintain their goodwill when things get a bit tight. Okay, so it's probably not a bad thing to start having conversations with suppliers about stretching out those credit terms, even if you can afford to pay, because you'll build up that confidence that, okay, we want 45 days, but I guarantee I'll pay you on the nail, and you do it next month, you do it next month. In a year or two's time, when you need a bit of leniency, they'll give it to you because you've been on the case for that period of time. If you need bank support, ask early and be well prepared. It is really, really difficult for a bank manager to make a lending decision a week before payday. That is just a very difficult process for bank managers to undertake because they can't make that decision anymore. That goes up the line to invisible guy you'll never see in an office that he'll never go to, who says yay or nay based on numbers on a computer screen. So if you need bank support, you've probably got to give them at least a month's notice of when you're going to need it. Now, to give them a month's notice, you've got to be on the case with your financial forecast to know you've got a problem coming in a month's time. You can't go to them and just say, oh, I need 10 grand to pay the wages tomorrow, because it won't happen going forwards. And of course, shop around. All of us should be looking at value for money on our costs, not lowest price. Value for money is a blend of price, quality, service, speed, all those other things. My personal favorite, and I've written a whole book on the subject, is buy cheap, buy twice. This is not about cutting costs. This is about getting the best value for money on everything that you spend money on.